what I'm getting from the updates from everyone is that game dev is really hard.
Oh,
That's
really?
pretty accurate. That's pretty accurate. Yeah.
No, that's completely.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
I think you're
And
getting
also
a
the
little
market.
bit.
the
Just a
market.
smidge.
I don't know if you noticed that, but we used to like I heard the James from Cult. He's called James that does culting. Probably.
Jason.
Jason. I heard
Jason.
him mentioning that he only gets a couple of hundred likes and reshares on his tweets. So I mean, like we get just like a couple of tens, you know, and I mean,
Same,
where's
brother.
the problem? So I would say that he can be quite happy with what he's got because he already built his audience when there was the boom with boomer shooters. And we're struggling. The other ones, the games and teams that are coming out now, they're quite struggling. I don't know if it's because of the person that owns Twitter now, or because of what. But I mean, like we're getting even less. I used to have a couple of viral videos posted on Twitter, and one of them got nearly 1,000 likes, and now it's just.
Yeah.
So
Well,
don't know
Yeah,
what's
I think
happening.
it just comes down to it just comes down to I think just this resurgence of old school games, and when you have things like Dooms and Painkillers and just like FPS games coming out on the regular that are by these big studios on top of New Blood and all these other people who were there at the beginning of this kind of renaissance of FPS games, still releasing stuff pretty actively, and then you got all that, and then this every day there's like a new FPS game that comes out. It's like DOSman stuff, Gravelord. It's just I feel like it's a pretty crowded market right now. Yeah.
It is, but I think it's slowing down a little bit.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think the big thing is when retro shooters were kind of making their comeback within the early 2020s. Like it was the in thing, and there were a lot of people who were rediscovering the genre. I think it's safe to say a good chunk of the people who play video games, they don't commit themselves to one specific genre, but rather they enjoy a plethora of different games and genres. And in the world of video games in general, not specifically in regards to retro shooters, because I don't even feel like the market for retro shooters has been that crowded personally. But like within the world of video games at large, like there's so much to choose from right now. Like there's so many games coming out that it's hard to, and it's hard, and it's hard to keep up with them all. Especially like even
I
just
guess it's
little
really
indie
not
games.
just FPS.
Yeah, like
It's
this is
just indie in
I'd
general,
say
I think that market is there's a lot.
Yeah, it's but specifically within the context of the shooter world, there was a season where we were kind of booming and in the popular eye, and now that we've kind of sat and simmered for a while, that the popular eye has faded and is now looking elsewhere, and as a result, we're in a bit of a state where the audience isn't quite there anymore. Where we're sort of fading back to, I guess what you could say is like the casual baseline. So we kind of had our season of popularity, and now it's going back to the status quo, so to speak.
Makes sense.
Where again, you'll have like the really big hits, like Doom: The Dark Ages wasn't that big of a hit, I guess. But that's neither here nor there.
And it's also not like a boomer shooter, I would say. It's
I mean, I wouldn't.
FPS.
I personally wouldn't consider any of the modern Doom games retro shooters, but let's be real, the general audience does.
I agree. Yeah.
Like,
To be
I
honest,
don't think
like
yeah.
the whole thing about boomer shooters, like people keep discussing this for so long. Like I'm a little bit tired of like I mean I appreciate the naming just because it allows a lot, to find a lot of titles, but at the same time I think at this point it's not helping too much, like because people get lost into the tangent of like what it means to be a boomer shooter or not. It's like you just look if you like the shooter game. If it's cool, just play it. Then fuck off, right? Like
Right.
Yeah. But for example, I myself, I never buy new games anymore at all. I buy indies around like $20, but I never buy like a AA or AAA game for, I don't know, more than $10 or $15. And I think like a lot of customers are like this. And also like a lot of games are coming out that they're like $8 or $9, and they're completely like really good games, right? So people then probably use the slider on Steam and slide it down on like for games under $10, and then they buy in that area. So because like right now the economy is like shit everywhere, so I guess that's also a factor. And then for me, for example, Steam Deck. I own the Steam Deck, and I mean, you get like games that are awesome for the Steam Deck for a couple of bucks.
Yeah, that was the question I was writing down while y'all were talking about the publishers and all that, and I was curious. I've always felt like pricing has really not been in the favor of developers, which I guess is that's pretty obvious. Like, it's the kind of idea that like they sell consoles at a loss, right? They're only making a fraction of what they make. So, by a similar analogy, you can think, I spent, in Osric's case, I've been working on this since I was 12. How do I price a game, that has that much behind it fairly, where it compensates me for my time I've spent, but also is something that people actually purchase? Has there been like any feeling on your end that's like, how do I make this where this is what I'm getting, what I'm worth, quote unquote, and also something that people actually pull off the shelf, so to speak? Because I know there is a lot of that where people I've seen so many indie devs recently that are just obviously undercutting themselves just to be seen. Like the $10 range, and there's games that'll take you 6 to 8 hours to beat that are great, and they'll charge $10 for them. You're like, there's just no way you're selling that many units to make that worth your time. So, for the floor.
I just on that, I remember when I was talking to one of the well-known shooter indie publishers. We were not sure, like we are still not sure entirely about the price of the game, right? But back then we were thinking about doing like a 7-hour campaign or close to 8, which is probably not on the plans anymore. It's going to be shorter. But back then we were like considering like doing like maybe like because it's our first game, right? Like $10 for early access and 15, and they were like, no, that's too short, right? We were like, okay, well maybe we can sell. Like we are actually more interested in building a community. So because on the long run, that's going to be better for us. Like, well, we are not interested in earning, that small amount of money is going to make it harder to recoup, which is like fair enough. But then they made a good point, which is and I don't know if this is true, this is just what they told me, but if you price down your game too much and sort of like make it look like a little bit sketchy, people can even like just like say what's going on here, right? Like it's not like automatically they think, oh, this is really cheap, I'm gonna buy it just because of that, but rather like what is going on here, like this seems weird. Like maybe if you reach that point,
question its quality.
Yeah, I think overall more important than price is just building, which is of course hard when it's your first couple of games, but up until you don't have a community and you don't have an expectation from people made out of your brand and out of the type of games you make, the problem is that you just sort of only depend on reviews, right? Like people will like it's kind of weird to price a game in that situation. I feel like later you have much more leverage. You can just say like I can do it like a lower price and maybe sell more copies, or higher, like for example New Blood. If New Blood releases a game now on $30, people will be like, some people who might not know them might be like, wait, this game looks like from the 90s, why I'm gonna pay $30 for this? But then some other people say it's a fucking New Blood game, right? I'm buying quality. Which, and they are right, they deserve it, but that is kind of like for me the complex relationship between the price and what people expect from your products or games or experience, how you want to call it.
And the other thing you're competing with is the already set expectations, right? So you're also dealing with, for example, you have a game like Dusk, which sort of is I guess you could say a standard setting game within the genre. And so now if you have a game like Dusk, people aren't going to feel comfortable. There's this weird sense I've found in a lot of people where they seem to like think we're all competing against one another and like we're fighting for each other's money or whatever, which really isn't the case. I don't get that. Like I've seen people who leave reviews on my game, like, and they'll be sitting here like whining and comparing, like, oh, like you're like, they're acting as if I'm fighting for the people who would spend money on Dusk instead. Yeah. And like, no, why would I care what? But that being said, there's this mindset of Dusk provides me with this amount of value for this amount of content. If you start pricing your games too low, below that standard, one, you're going to have people think it's a game of lower value, kind of what you were getting at. But even beyond that, if you can't price it too high now either, because you're going to effectively be fighting against what people view as the established standard of the game's value. So it's like, if I make a game that's like Dusk, that has the same amount of content as Dusk does, I can't price it above $20 now, because if I do, nobody's going to want to spend money on it until it goes on sale, because, like, again, Dusk has set the standard. And so that's another kind of factor you're dealing with.